right, settle in. We're diving deep today into, well, a whole mountain of information, really, trying to make sense of Samsung's huge 2025 TV lineup.
Yeah, we've been digging through a pretty detailed breakdown of all the different models, trying to pull out what actually, matters.
Exactly. The idea isn't just listing specs. It's about cutting through those honestly confusing model numbers. You got the U8000Fs, the QN90Fs, the S95Fs, and figuring out what's really new, what's different between them, and, well, maybe which one might be the right TV for you.
Uh-huh. And maybe you're looking at your current TV thinking, is now the time? Should I upgrade? Hopefully this deep dive gives you the info you need to figure that out based on what Samsung's actually putting out there this year.
Okay, so let's start at the most affordable end of things, the Crystal UHD series. For 2025, it looks like there's really just one main new one to talk about, the U8000F.
Right. That's basically Samsung's entry ticket into 4K for the year. And it comes in a ton of sizes. I mean, from a pretty standard 43-inch all the way up to a pretty massive 85-inch screen.
Which means, naturally, a big range in price, too.
Huh?
Officially, it lists from, around $280 for the small one up to $1,200 for that big 85-incher. Though, street prices might already be a bit lower.
Yeah, this is the kind of TV you'll probably see everywhere, big retailers, online. It's really aimed at someone who just wants a decent 4K picture without spending a fortune.
Gotcha. So it uses their Crystal processor, does the 4K upscaling for older stuff, and runs the Tizen smart TV system we've seen before.
Yep. And for plugging things in, like your console or Blu-ray player, you get 3 HDMI ports. One of them does have EARC and ARC, which is good if you're going to hook up a soundbar.
It does support HDR,
Yeah.
HDR 10 plus included. But the analysis we saw was pretty clear, wasn't it? Don't expect, super bright, punchy HDR like you'd get on the higher-end TVs.
No, definitely not. It'll display the signal, but yeah, the performance won't be the same.
And for gamers, especially thinking PS5, Xbox Series X owners, the big limiter is the refresh rate, right? It's only 60 hertz.
Exactly. It has things like variable refresh rate, auto low latency mode, which is good. But yeah, 60 hertz means it won't be as smooth for those really fast-paced games compared to a 120 hertz or even 144 hertz panel.
Okay, stepping up then. We get into the standard QLED series, and there's a name change this year, which is worth pointing out.
Oh yeah, forget Q60, Q70, Q80. For 2025, it's QF1, Q7F, and Q8F. The QF1 is just 43 and 50-inch. Q7F goes 43 to 85. And the Q8F is 32 all the way up to 85 inches. Quite a range there.
Right. And this is where the Q comes, the quantum dot technology. Supposedly gives it a big boost in color. And it's got this Q4 AI processor.
Yeah, that processor is interesting. It's supposed to use AI to automatically tweak the color, the picture, even the sound, depending on if you're watching a movie or sports or gaming. So maybe less fiddling with settings for you.
And quantum dots mean better HDR than the Crystal UHD, right? They call it quantum HDR.
Uh-huh. And then the Q8F gets quantum HDR plus, so that means even better brightness and more detail in the bright and dark parts of the picture, setting it a bit above the Q7F.
Okay, now let's get to what the source called the really good stuff. The Neo QLEDs, starting with the 4K versions.
Right, so you've got the QN70F, QN80F, QN85F, and the QN90F. And the analysis did say, the differences between some of these, like the 80F and 85F, can be kind of subtle.
But the QN90F, that's clearly the top dog for 4K Neo QLE this year.
Yeah, it gets the new Quantum HDR Plus and Samsung's best 4K chip, the NQ4 AI Gen 3 processor. The others use the Gen 2 version, so that better processor, that's really what should give the QN90F the edge in picture quality.
And sound, too, apparently. It has a different audio setup, a 4.2.2 channel system, which the others don't get. If you care about the built-in speakers, that is.
But maybe the biggest change, or at least the most talked about one this year for the QN90F, is that new glare-free screen tech.
Ah, yes, the anti-glare coating. We saw that debut on last year's top OLED, the S95E, didn't we?
Exactly. And it's back on the top 2025 OLED, the S95F as well. But now they've brought it to the flagship 4K mini LED, the QN90F, and also the big 8K models, the QN900F and QN990F.
So the benefit is pretty obvious if you've got a bright room, lots of windows maybe.
Yeah.
It's designed to really kill those annoying reflections.
Yeah, it really helps cut down on distracting glare. But the flip side is if you're watching in a really dark room, like a dedicated home theater or just late at night, you won't notice much difference from the coating itself. It's not bad in the dark, but it looks different than a glossy screen. It really comes down to your room and your preference. Bright room viewers might love it.
Okay, that actually leads us pretty well into the 8K TVs.
Yeah, you can basically think of these 8K models, the QN900F and QN990F, as taking all the top-end stuff from the QN90F, the really good picture processing, the 120 hertz for gaming, the best audio, and just, dialing it up because it's 8K resolution.
So these are positioned as Samsung's absolute best LED TVs,
Yeah.
the best of the best.
And one practical thing, the QN990F, the very top one, it comes with that one Connect box, the separate box for our HDMI cables and stuff, means just one thin cable running to the actual TV panel. Looks really clean, especially on a wall.
Samsung's definitely sticking with 8K, even though some other brands seem less keen lately. If 8K ever takes off properly, they're ready.
But that's the big question for you, isn't it? Do you need 8K right now? There's still almost no actual 8K stuff to watch, and the analysis we saw basically said upscaling 4K to 8K. You probably won't see much difference unless your screen is huge and you sit super close.
And let's be honest, the price tag on these 8K monsters usually makes the decision for most people anyway.
It's pretty significant, yeah. What's really interesting, though, is that Samsung seems to be pretty much the only big player releasing new 8K TVs this year. Sony and LG, they seem to have kind of backed off for 2025, at least for now.
Okay, so while those 8K sets are technically impressive, the analysis we looked at hinted that maybe Samsung's QD-OLEDs are the ones that really capture people's attention, just because, well, OLED picture quality.
Oh, yeah. They're consistently called simply gorgeous TVs. That S95 line, especially the S95F this year, that's where they really compete head-to-head with the absolute best from LG and Sony.
And that glare-free screen we talked about on the QN90F, it's back on the top QD-OLED, the S95F.
Right, same story applies. Great for bright rooms to cut reflections. In dark rooms, OLED is already amazing, so the coating itself is less of a factor, more about preference. Depends entirely on your viewing space and what bothers you.
What makes Samsung's OLED different is that QD part, right? The quantum dots combined with OLED.
Exactly, that's their secret sauce. It lets them push color brightness and purity beyond what traditional WRGB OLEDs can typically do. So you get those perfect OLED blacks plus really vibrant, bright QLED-like colors. It's sort of the best of both worlds, arguably.
Now, there's also the S90F below the S95F in the QD OLED range. Key difference seems to be the screen finish. It's got a more traditional glossy panel, not the anti-glare one.
Correct. And the S90F also doesn't come with the One Connect box, which the S95F does.
But performance-wise, both the S95F and S90F sound incredible, especially for gaming. Yeah, 144 hertz refresh rate, all the game mode stuff.
Absolutely, top-tier gaming TVs. But there's a really crucial detail the analysis highlighted about the panels themselves. The actual QD OLED panels are currently only made in 55, 65, and 77-inch sizes.
So if you see an S90F in a different size, like maybe an 83-inch, it's using a different type of OLED panel.
Exactly. It'll likely be a WRGB OLED panel, the kind LG Display makes, which, like you said, is still a fantastic OLED panel, but it's not the same QD OLED tech as the 55, 65, and 77-inch versions, something you definitely need to know.
And then there's the S85F, sort of the entry-level OLED. This one gets even more complicated with the panels.
Yeah, this is tricky. The S85F does use a QD OLED panel in the 55 and 65-inch sizes, but only if you're buying it in North America.
Wow, okay, so outside North America, or if you buy a different size S85F anywhere, it's going to be a WRGB OLED panel instead.
That's what the breakdown indicates, yes. So where you buy it and what size you buy it significantly changes the underlying panel technology for the S85F. Definitely something you need to be aware of when shopping.
Good to know. Okay, almost there. What about the artsy option? The frame.
Still going strong. The frame series gets updated again. Still has that signature matte screen coating that makes displaying art look way more convincing, less like a glowing screen.
And now there's a Pro version, the Frame Pro.
Yep. This basically takes the frame concept but upgrades the TV tech inside to Neo QLED. So you get much better HDR, better picture processing, more like a high-end TV, but still with the art focus.
And a cool feature on the Pro is a wireless One Connect box. It's pretty neat. More flexibility for hiding the box away compared to the wired one on the regular frame.
Definitely adds some setup versatility.
So, wow, that's a lot of TVs. It's easy to see how someone could get completely lost in all those models.
For sure. It's an incredibly wide range. But hopefully, breaking it down like this, tier by tier, highlighting the key differences, processor, HDR level, anti-glare, panel type, gives you a better handle on it. Helps you map out which features actually matter for you depending on how you watch, where you watch.
Yeah, and the source material even brought up an interesting point that sometimes, depending on specific changes, maybe in panel tech or features year to year, a 2024 model could potentially be a better choice for you than the direct 2025 replacement. It really encourages you to look at the specifics we've discussed.
Right. It's not always just about getting the newest number.
So, thinking about all this, the focus isn't just on pure picture specs anymore, is it? We're seeing so much emphasis on things like glare reduction for specific rooms, these subtle but important panel differences based on size or region, wireless boxes, art modes.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder, how is our idea of what makes a premium TV changing? Is it still just about the absolute best picture, or are these other features, things tailored to your specific environment and habits, becoming just as important? What really matters most to you now?
Definitely something to chew on as you look at these new models.
Indeed.
Okay, well, that wraps up our deep dive into Samsung's 2025 TV lineup based on the breakdowns we had.
Hope this conversation helped clear things up a bit, sorting through the key differences, the upgrades, the potential catches, giving you a better framework for thinking about your next TV, maybe.
Thanks for joining us for this exploration of the sources. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.